This is Julio's Corner, my corner of the internet, where I talk about whatever is on my mind. I'll mostly talk about stuff I've watched, read, or listened to, but sometimes I may ramble on about the news or politics or on society at large. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, November 16th, 2025. And welcome back to another episode of Julio's Corner. I am Julio from New York, of course. This is my corner of the internet, as I said in the intro. And I really don't have a show prepared as a typical episode, I should say. I have some bullet points. Just going to be rambling today. Just all rambles. No side effects or anything like that. It's been a few weeks since the election. And of course, that was a great day and a great week of triumph. But of course, that hasn't really done much to the actual things in the country. Things are still the same. I'm still struggling to make ends meet. And I've been feeling listless lately. Like wondering what to do next. Like, what's the point of my existence? Every day blurs into the next day. And, I wake up 5 p.m. to get ready for my job. I work Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I'm living the vampire life minus the blood sucking. So little to no social life. And then I come home, wake up, next day it's the same thing until the weekend comes, in which case I just catch up to do my chores, my laundry, and of course I do the podcast. So there's that. That's the one variation in the week, the day that I do something different from Monday through Friday, which is good. It's given me some purpose, something to do. It's therapeutic, as I've mentioned several times before. But yeah, because of that, this whole week especially, I'll be at my job, and instead of catching up instead of catching up to some other shows that I'm behind on, I've just been mostly watching YouTube videos and just feeling like I haven't been exercising like I was before. Not that I exercise much, but I would do some push-ups here and there, some squats here and there, just anything to keep the muscles somewhat active versus not doing anything and being sedentary. But this past few weeks especially have been unproductive in that vein. So yeah, it's been listless, and that's why this episode in particular is not really well prepared, because I haven't had the motivation to really sink my teeth into anything thoroughly, and I figured this is my audio diary essentially, so let me just spew out what I'm feeling, so to speak. I've done a few things, but nothing that entitles nothing that I prepared to do a thorough show like I've done in the past. So in part of this whole listless thing and feeling unmotivated and whatnot, and just the repetitive nature of my life, the one difference that I've added to my routine, so to speak, is I'm not shaving. As of last weekend, I did not shave, and so I've been growing out my facial hair. So I'm trying to grow out the beard. The last time I grew out a full beard, I was in college. We're talking at least 30 years ago, maybe more. I'm talking 97, 90, 96, 97, around there. So yeah, about roughly 29 to 30 years, somewhere in that ballpark figure. So I figure, why not do that now? If anything, I'm going to look more my age, so to speak. I'm going to look old. I have a few white hairs in my beard, in the little tufts of hair that I have growing out. And I'd like to see how I look with facial hair, because I haven't done it since college. And when I did it in college, I just let it grow out, and I didn't really do anything like use beard oil and get the beard comb and use a derma roller and all these things that people with beards have for their grooming routine. So I figured, well, hey, I'm a grown man. Might as well do all that and in lieu of shaving because it's different and maybe, I don't know, I'm manifesting something new in my life because I'm doing something new. Something different will come of it. Who knows? So, anyways, in terms of media consumption, which is what I normally do, because again, I'm at my job all great hours, mostly sitting on my butt, watching stuff on my iPad. Last weekend and this weekend, I saw two musicals. I rewatched Chicago, and tonight, before recording this episode, I rewatched The Music Man. Two musicals that I'm fond of, hence the rewatch. Also, throughout the week on YouTube, I was watching a reaction to Hamilton, the musical. This guy broke it down into like 8 parts. It was a little insane that he did that, but smart because it could, instead of just having one video of Hamilton, you're gonna have a repeat. Like myself, I just had to watch the whole thing through. So instead of like a 1 hour edited segment, he had a bunch of 30-minute. He had 8 30-minute videos, so he really stretched it out. So that was smart of him in that sense. If he even made, well, I guess he got demonetized, so maybe it wasn't what's the word, profitable for him. But at least in terms of getting views and whatnot, I'm sure it helped them in that sense. What else? I really don't have anything much to say about Chicago, about the musicals I watched. I love Chicago. It's set in the Jazz Age, the 1920s. I think 1925 actually. And you have I'm talking about the movie. I'm not going by the actual play because the movie I know took some liberties in that the musical numbers are like these fantasy sequences from Roxy Hart's point of view. So I like the message. Well, I wouldn't. How do I explain it? Now I sound like the woman that got hung in the movie. What am I trying to say? I enjoyed the premise, the whole escapism fantasy sequences that were done, especially the song when they both reach out for the gun, where they set it up as Roxy Hart is a marionette dummy, and the is a ventriloquist dummy, and Billy Flynn, played by Richard Gere, is the ventriloquist. So he's the one manipulating what Roxy has to say what Roxy is saying to the reporters. And of course, he's also the puppet master. So he's like pulling the strings of all the reporters in that whole press junket. So that's one of my, and of course, his other song, which is similar, in a similar vein, Razzle Dazzle. That's a fun one. And it's just cool how morally ambiguous everything in the movie is, right? You have, I guess I am going to be talking a little bit about it. So yeah, why not? I'm rambling here. I just love how, because I mean, you could also look at it how, if you want to reflect society right now, for instance, how as crooked and awful Trump is right now, he has the media under his thumb. He's controlling, because he also has his yes men under him who are help pushing the narrative, and the CEOs who run these media companies who are essentially allowing Trump to get away with get away with the corruption that he's doing by not portraying him in a critical light, in as critical a light that they should, so that actual justice is served, because he's the president and the Supreme Court has given him essentially full immunity on anything that he does, because that was their ruling right before he got reelected, during the time that he was on trial for his many criminal allegations. They were saying that they basically said that a president has full immunity for any executive actions he does while in office. So they're basically saying that whatever he did while he was the president in his first term, he's free of. So that also, in turn, means he can do whatever the hell he wants right now, which he's doing with his Gestapo, with ICE, shutting down the government, having these tariffs go on, pardoning all these criminals that are his friends and cronies, having these illegal wars, getting the Department of Justice to persecute his political enemies, even though they're not guilty of anything, but so they're trumping up criminal charges to indict him, and just he's just running amok and getting away with it. So Chicago is a good reflection of that in a sense, because you have, well, Billy Flynn, the lawyer, who's never lost a case of any criminal that he's defended, because he's able to manipulate the narrative, which Trump does, albeit not fully by himself, but because the people around him are allowing it to be in his favor, which is unfortunate. So you have Billy Flynn, running amok. You have the whole point of Chicago is that Roxy Hart is completely seduced by the allure of being a showgirl and wanting to do, wanting that fame, that attention, that adulation that celebrity gives you. And she was willing to commit murder, essentially, to have that happen. And regardless, and then of course to get away with the crime, because in the setting of the film, murder is a criminal offense that can get the death penalty. If found guilty, the penalty could be death. So Billy Flynn acquits her, and of course Catherine Zeta-Jones's character Velma, and in the end you have them both, even though they hate each other. Well, Roxy hates her, not the other way around. So because of their notoriety and being infamous for committing murder, they were able to do a show together at the end. Though it's not quite clear, which I guess is the point. It's not quite clear if the success and adulation that you see they're getting on stage in this big stage in Chicago is their new reality, or the fantasy that they hope to become a reality. And then, of course, you have The Music Man, which is about a con man who goes into River City, Iowa, in the setting of I believe it's 1925. No, not 1905. So even further back in time, when when Wells Fargo was, before it was a bank, Wells Fargo was actually, they did telegrams, and they would also deliver packages to little towns like River City, Iowa. So you have this guy, Harold Hill. Actually, apparently his real name is Gregory, that only his accomplice knows. Everyone else knows him as Harold Hill, Professor Harold Hill of Gary, Indiana, University, I forget, Music Institute of '05, so 1905. And, he's conning this whole town to buy music equipment, band uniforms, with the promise that he will be their band leader and teach the kids, the boys, to become a proper band for their little city for River City, their little town. And of course, the way he galvanizes the whole town to believe what he's selling is he first gives them something to fear. He tells them the mayor brought a pool table into town for his billiard club, because he is into pool, and he wanted a pool table for his little billiard club to get everyone involved. To play it in his billiard hall. And of course, Harold Hill concocts this story, this narrative that pool tables can lead to corruption of young boys, because what do people do in pool halls? Well, they start gambling. It becomes seedy. People start smoking cigarettes. It's a gateway to drugs and the bad life, the life of the corrupted youth, getting into gangs and a life of crime. Essentially, is the narrative that he pushes. And the only way to save these kids, of course, is if you can get them into do something into. Wow, I can't talk right now. The only way you can save the kids from that corruption is if you give them something wholesome and pure, that's more interesting and what's the word I'm thinking of? Engrossing than pool, and that's of course being part of a band, a marching band. So that's the narrative of the Music Man, and it's just cool how. Well, again, maybe this is just me with my sociological leftist-leaning brain. Upon rewatching these films, since I already know the plots, I'm able to be more reflective and introspective as I'm watching it, and seeing the charlatan that is Professor Harold Hill, again, like Trump, and like the whole right-wing media machine that pushes all these stupid, ignorant narratives to their constituents about. Even now, J.D. Vance this week was talking about how the reason why people cannot afford a home right now, it's not because prices are high. I mean, the reason for why the prices are high, it's not because of the banks and the rich people that are raising the prices and the inflation that the president is causing with tariffs. And the lack of jobs, because again, the tariffs that this president has this whole administration is guilty of. It's not because of that. It's because of the immigrants coming in here, stealing your jobs, taking your houses, your opportunities. Of course, it's these immigrants that are at fault. How? If you're smart, if you use your actual brain instead of just listening to these lies, you would know that these immigrants that are coming into the country and have all these stringent regulations and rules and whatnot to get a good paying job in the first place. So they're going to be struggling to find work just as much as you are, and they have to get way more qualifications than you do to get the same job. Not to mention they need to be, they need to get a residency or a green card and things like that. Otherwise, they for the most part, they're doing low paying jobs and working on the table in the service industry for the most part, or in construction and things of that nature. And it's crazy how you'll have people that are trained doctors in their own countries, but when they come here, their doctorate degree has no value here. So they could either A, go through the same learning all over again and incur new debt in this country, which again, before you can even do that, you need to get your papers to be, a U.S. resident or whatever, to be able to stay here, to even get said schooling and incur more debt, to then go through the whole residency program and yada, yada, yada. And it's just not feasible. Whereas in their country, they already have the expertise of doctors here in our country, but because they didn't earn it here, it doesn't matter. Now, if they were from Europe, different story. Their medical degree in Europe would be acceptable here. But any other country outside of Europe, like developing nations, South America, let's say, or Jamaica, or Africa, let's say, or India, those degrees don't have no merit in our country. So they would have to go through it all over again. So yeah, no, there's no way an immigrant is responsible for why you can't afford your rent prices or your mortgages, or you're not able to buy a new house because the property value is above your pay grade. That's not the fault of the immigrant. But that's the lie that J.D. Vance is pushing right now on his press junket, going to Fox News or wherever the hell he was on when he said that nonsense. And a lot of people buy that, eat it up, the way these people ate up Harold Hill's whole spiel about, P rhymes with, his whole spiel about how the letter P rhymes with T, which stands for trouble. which rhymes with, T stands for trouble, which rhymes with P when that stands for pool. So pool is trouble. His whole spiel about that to get the townsfolk to buy into his whole con of buying the music instruments and everything for this band that he is supposedly going to teach, which his whole plan is to get the money and run. So anyways, besides that, there's some shows that are currently airing on TV. I don't have Hulu. I don't have Paramount. But what I do have is an antenna and a TV tuner. And I have Plex. I have a lifetime membership with my Plex service, which I've had for decades now, right? I think I've had it since 2009, I want to say. So yeah, it's the DVR service of my Plex passes, of my lifetime Plex pass, is included, so I can record over-the-air television. So of course I'm recording these shows that are brand new. They premiered this fall. And another show that I actually started watching on Hulu, the first season, because at the time I had Hulu. So the second season just started, and so I started watching that. And these shows are on CBS and Fox 5. So CBS Channel 2 and Fox, I already said Fox 5 is on Channel 5, otherwise known as Fox. These shows are Sheriff Country, Boston Blue, Murder in a Small Town, the second season. And actually I'm checking out a show called Watson. Again, last week we were talking about how May Gray is a remake of, it's a remake that I did not know was a remake. So now you have Watson, which is another adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, essentially, but it's strictly about Watson. So Elementary was the original adaptation by CBS of Sherlock Holmes. It was called Elementary. Lucy Liu was Dr. Watson. Though she wasn't, she was a doctor. She was a surgeon, but she quit her job. And, well, long story short, Lucy Liu was Watson, and you had this British actor play Sherlock. So this is Watson. So we're strictly focusing more on just Watson. This is taking it. So this is a completely new narrative in that, and again, this season 2 is premiering right now, so I'm only watching season 2. I do need to find a way to see season 1, but because what happened in this season, I have an idea what happened of how this premise began. And essentially, Watson, the show, is starting at the point where him and Sherlock were partners for quite a while. And if you read the Sherlock Holmes stories, there was I think the very last story, though I could be wrong, but the last story I remember reading of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock was fighting Moriarty to a duel to the death, I guess, and they both fell over a cliff, over a waterfall. No, it was a cliff in the novel. So similarly in Watson, that's what happened. Watson, because again, if you read the novels, all of the stories are done from the point of view of Watson. Because he's journaling, like Dracula, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, that has a bunch of journals. Because I guess that was the narrative device that they used. That was how they wrote back in the day. Because if you read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, same thing. You had the journals of Dr. Frankenstein talking about his it was from his point of view. Anyways, so Watson saw Sherlock go over the cliff with Moriarty, and he went to try to find him, and he couldn't. And then I guess he woke up in a hospital, and since then he just went back to just being a doctor, but like not just any doctor, but like a medical consultant with this special clinic that would help the hospital that his clinic happens to be leasing space next to. He helps with like these unusual cases. Anyway, Sherlock returned in season 2, which is where I'm watching. And apparently, he did not die. And what Watson saw was something else, not quite what he thought he saw. I don't want to spoil it too much. Season's still ongoing, so I'm sure they'll get more in depth with it. So, anyways, it's interesting because it's not a crime show. It's more like House MD, where Watson and his team are trying to solve these crazy medical cases. So it's kind of cool. I'm intrigued by it, and I wanna catch up. I have to go back to season 1, and because I'm already watching season 2, and this is the one case where these episodic shows are not a detriment to me in knowing what's going on, because they're episodic, and even though there is a bit of a long story arc through subplots, I don't feel quite out of place with these network shows. So that's cool. One last thing I want to discuss, of course, is the NFL. So the last 2 weeks, the games have not piqued my interest, and I would catch. I mean, the scores look bad on paper, and then I would catch, pundits from podcasts that I listen to, and others that I watch on YouTube, talking about how ugly the games were. So yeah, these last 2 weeks, I maybe watched 2 or 3 games, and the rest I just ignored, whereas I haven't been doing that previously. And maybe it's part of my whole listlessness that I've been describing earlier on, where the repetitive nature just made me not really want to waste my time. The fact that I'm saying that, I don't know. We'll see what will happen this Sunday. Well, right now it's Sunday, 5:30 in the morning. So obviously there are no games yet, but I will be recording the games when I'm asleep so that I can catch them tonight when I wake up. So we shall see if I'm getting back into the NFL again, because these past 2 weeks have not been. I mean, this last Thursday game was the Jets against the Patriots. I definitely did not care for that. And again, from what I heard, it was an okay game. It wasn't a great game. So all the more reason why I just didn't want to bother. And I heard the Detroit Lions game was good. But we're already on Sunday, so we're already on to the new week, and I missed out on it. I do have NFL Plus, so I could watch it on the replays, but we'll see if I even wanna. I don't know. I just don't have the motivation. Again, I'm unmotivated with everything, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm pushing myself to do this episode, and here we are. And I think that's it. So now you know where we are. Hopefully next week, maybe I'll be more productive or efficient, or however you want to describe it, and I'll have a show that's a lot more in depth about something particular. But that's what this episode will be. So, and that wraps up the show. If you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or any thoughts you'd like to share, you can reach me by clicking on the Contact Me link in the show notes. If you are feeling extra generous, you can click the donate link in the show notes and send some money my way. Of course, this show is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. This means you can share this episode, remix it, do whatever you want. Just say where you got it from. And as always, thank you for listening.